big question on so many minds right now is whether or not The Marvels is beating Snow White in the box office race. Week versus week, day versus day, is it okay? Is Brie Larson really beating Rachel Zegler? And are fans actually rooting for the maligned MCU movie that spelled the end of time for the female MCU? Today we'll tell you whether or not The Marvels is beating Snow White. Hello folks, it is a joy as always to have you joining us. Welcome back to the place that treats you as an honored guest because you are. Telling the truth is what we do, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Yes, indeed. Folks, all we ask is that you click that like button and we will get underway right away with some complicated math required to figure out, is The Marvels beating Snow White? It's not as simple as it seems. We'll explain right now. Folks, out of Rotten Tomatoes, and well, that's the appropriate place for this to be. Yep. Weekend box office. A working man takes down Snow White. It's official. But I also want to point out from Rotten Tomatoes, if you scroll down, the interesting thing about this is, ladies and gentlemen, you see this? You see The Chosen down here?
Yes.
The Chosen, they put, what is it, 2 episodes?
3, I believe. I believe it's 3 episodes. Yeah.
They put 3 episodes together and sent it out to theaters as a bundle. Not a finale, just 3 episodes. It almost beat Snow White.
Yep.
3 episodes of a streaming show that you can watch at home almost beat Snow White. Let it sink in. Okay. Talking about sinking, here we go. This is out of the numbers. If we scroll up, you'll see what this is, folks. It's Snow White. Snow White now sits with a not so tremendous $142 million out of the worldwide box office. And if we scroll on down, it's the second weekend total that we want to see.
Oh.
Yep. Now, they're calling it at 66%. You'll recall that we did an article out of World of Real that had it at 70%. We'll know within 24 hours what the actual number will be because they're going to adjust this as they so often do. So we'll find out. But you will notice that the decline per theater is just awful. They went from $10,000 per theater to $3,400 per theater. That is awful. All right, now, after the second weekend, the total gross domestically for Snow White is $66,946,000. But who's counting, right? Well, we are. And the reason we are is because we're paying very close attention to The Marvels. The Marvels is running neck and neck right now with Snow White. And let's take a look, folks. After the second weekend for The Marvels, it was at $64,945,000. Okay? So let's just round these up for ease. After the second weekend domestically, The Marvels had $65 million, right? Okay. After the second weekend, Snow White had $67 million. And you might say, well, the title says that The Marvels is beating Snow White, but it's not. It's not, darn it. Why did you fool us? Why did you trick us, you darn sneaky fibber, you? Well, folks, I haven't fibbed at least in the last 5 minutes, and I'm not about to start for the next 5 more. I'm here to tell you that if you look at inflation, guess what? I would almost guarantee you that The Marvels has higher attendance. And the reason for that is there's a $2 million difference between weekend number 2 totals for The Marvels and Snow White. Snow White is winning by $2 million. I'm here to bet you that from 2023 to 2025, movie ticket prices have gone up such that this is absolutely neck and neck, but I would bet that The Marvels actually had more attendance at this stage of the game than Snow White. And I would also put my foot out there and say that I bet that the budget for Snow White, somehow, some way, as crazy as this may seem, that the budget for The Marvels might actually be less than Snow White when all is said and done. And I base that on what Caroline Reed has been saying over at Forbes. I base that on what Valiant Renegade has been reporting, the UK tax documents and all of that. Panel, I hand it to you now. It's neck and neck, but which one is besting the other? And frankly, how humiliating must this be for Disney that we're actually discussing right now which one is doing more poorly, the Marvels or Snow White?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you adjust for inflation. I think it's possible that more individual tickets were sold for the Marvels than have been sold for Snow White. I think that's very, very possible. And I think that's a fantastic point. Unfortunately, that's not a metric I think that anyone tracks, is like number of tickets sold.
They track it. They do track it, but we're not going to get it. It's not made public very, very often.
Yeah, because it comes back to bite them in the butt later on when, the next big movie comes out and you realize Gone with the Wind had beat it by like 7 times.
Absolutely. I mean, if you adjust for inflation today, the original Snow White made $4 billion.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's just nuts. So again, though, I go back to it. Which one is doing more poorly? Is the Marvels winning? Is Snow White winning? Or is this a wash?
I think they spent more on this version of Snow White right here, and especially with inflation factored in, I think that's going to be about where it lands. I think I had the total investment for the Marvels at like $345 or something like that. And again, Caroline Reed at Forbes has been doing a great job actually tracking the UK filings, and I think a lot of that money came back maybe in. That's why they filmed the UK in the first place, right? In order to get those tax incentives and so forth, so they get a lot of that money back. I believe the same thing may have happened here on Snow White, but the level of investment I think was much, much higher. I think New York Times is reporting that this is going to be like a $350 million investment. That's up from $270 that we saw a lot of the trades posting around there. I know on That Park Place, we've had it a little bit higher just because of just how many reshoots actually went into this thing, the fire, the strikes postponing this whole thing. I think Gal Gadot herself had to take some time off for her pregnancy there. And so all that is added to that production cost. I think that's where you get maybe as much as to that $350 million figure, and then add in marketing and advertisement, you're looking at, I think, a minimum of probably $100 million added on to that. So that's about $450 million. If you take some incentives that the UK might give you, that might drop it down, let's say $100 million right there. That means that to break even at the rate that these studios get money back from the theaters, you're looking at an $800 million minimum that you have to achieve in order to break even on this film. So I'm just doing some math right here, and I believe Luis Fernando is saying that this is going to be topping out $215 to $235 million worldwide. You could be looking at $500 million loss on this picture alone if those numbers are accurate.
Vash, do you drink coffee?
I on occasion, yes.
Have you had coffee recently, sir?
No, sir.
I'm convinced that you have superpowers I was not aware of in the past. Vash, speaking of those superpowers, guess what? I have something that I need you to do for me, and we're going to get an answer. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We're going to give you the absolute, objective, unassailable answer as to which one's doing better or worse. Vash, I've looked into it while you were chatting, and I was multitasking. I was listening. But Vash, since 2023, when the Marvels came out, the average movie ticket price in the United States, which is what we're measuring here, domestic, has risen 3.4%. So Vash, could you take the number for the Marvels? Okay, let's get this up here. Okay, so after the second weekend, they had 64 million, and this is going to, we got to get it exactly. This is going to matter. 64,945,395 Vash. And increase that, please, sir, by 3.4%.
Yep.
Okay? 3.4%. There's the number right there for the Marvels. That's what it had domestically in its second weekend. I'll call it out one more time for the kids at home. $64,945,395. And no, they don't give us cents because the movie made no sense. Vash, if you calculatify that, what is the total, sir? I feel like the price is right now.
205,697,437.5.
Vash, my skepticism is high on that number. if we increase 60, I put you in a bad position here. If we increase 64,945,395 by 3.4%, it should be just a few million more, not 200 million.
Sorry. I thought you were going off the worldwide box office.
No. You're going to multiply that by 0.034. Then you're going to take whatever that total is and add it to 64,945,395.
Yeah.
And then we shall find out, folks. What we're aiming to know is, does it wind up being more than the number you see on the screen right there? And we will zoom in as far as it'll let us go. That is the number. If the Marvels beats it based on the movie ticket price increase from 2023 to 2025, then as Rod Rodney used to say, come on down because we got a winner. Vash?
Bro, I have been informed that was 3.4%, right?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting because I only did 3 because I'm an idiot who didn't hear you the first time.
Gentlemen, we have a new winner after
exactly. So
the referees.
That 0.4% is a big deal right there. So apparently,
way to go, Steve Harvey.
The Marvels did better than Snow White officially right there.
All right, folks, there it is. Thank you, Christian Ale. And you know what? Actually, okay, listen, folks. Jonas in his former life, his career he was deeply involved in numbers. And so I thought, this was months ago, I thought, well, I'll give Jonas a quick, math question, and he could just do it, live on the air, and we'll get the answer real fast. So I was like, Jonas, add this up real quick. I found out that when you do that to anybody, it doesn't matter if they're great at math. They're like, what do you said subtract, multiply, you carry the 5? I don't know what you said, bro. Do it again. So
now you finally realize that. One of my earliest YouTube humiliations was you doing that to me.
Well, I like to initiate everybody with a little equation. But thank you, Christian Ale. It is now beyond the pale. Snow White is losing to the Marvels, adjusted for inflation.
I do apologize, guys, very much for that right there. It's one of those things. I could probably, DL, I hear you, Vash. You could probably use a coffee right there, that's for sure. But if I had the numbers in front of me, I would have been able to do it real fast. But, that's, that just goes to show you that you should really write these things down as you're being told and not have to rely on your memory in order to recall them back. So,
I'll say that back when we were interviewing for you for the role of co-producer, I do remember that you showed us that you made an A- in trigonometry in middle school, and it really did. It caused us to worry about you having this, but other than tonight and the fiasco that it's been, then, the math hasn't mattered so much. Okay, Marvin, get in here. Your thoughts?
I think that Minecraft is going to be the biggest movie, of the year starting next week. Thus far, I mean, obviously the year's, still young, but I think I don't think it matters that the movie is apparently the definition of bad. I think kids are still going to love it. I think it's made to be just crappy kid fodder, make faces at the screen and have them all laugh. It's not meant for adults to enjoy, which I think is going to be, it's going to work against it in the long run because parents are going to want to bring their kids to it. But I think that it is going to decimate Snow White, and it's going to be a monumental collapse.
I think you might be right. Nolan, did you have that math 3 hours before Vash and I did? I felt like you were judging us.
No, actually, I hate math. It was my worst subject in school, and my only advice for the chat at home is please remember it will be on the test.
Oh man.
Don't worry, folks at home. We'll be doing woodshop next week. Don't worry.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, poor Snow White. What's going to happen that we are doing woodshop? Are you I'm a chipper? Well, at least there was empathy and sympathy, and maybe that's how the chat was feeling as well. But empathy and sympathy for Rachel Zegler, not much, I would say. And it is now underway. The movie competing with the Marvels within 100,000 adjusted for inflation. That's the lesson of the day, folks. You can go now and tell people when they say, no, it's beating the Marvels. You can say, oh, contraire, mon frère. I believe things are not so fair with Snow White. Often as we get ready to wrap these up, folks, you'll hear us say, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. And the reason we do it is because we appreciate you. It's true, we do. And we want you to have a good time. Thank you for giving us the great time of spending time with you. Folks, on the way out the door, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below because you matter. Your thoughts matter. Who cares what the legacy corporate deadbeat media tells you? You really are important. And we're a testament to that. We wouldn't be here without folks just like you. And since we've said it, we'll say it once more. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.